Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to game number 2 here from the Team Arena Challenge Grand Finals. And once again, I'll reiterate it for you guys. The Team Arena Grand Challenge is a tournament featuring some of the best teams in the world. And the Grand Finals here was between Mouse Sports and Quantic IM. And Mouse Sports, of course, being represented by Thorzane, who took the first game in the set. He actually was behind, I felt like. I thought he was definitely going to fall behind and lose the game. He was down in army, down in map control, down in multiple areas of the game, but he was able to make a comeback against Theognis. Now, though, it's time for Quantic IM to get serious, and they're throwing up one of their Korean players, and this is going to be Apocalypse. I haven't seen Apocalypse before. I've never seen him play. Apparently, they're going to be using some no-namers to start things off here. But I do know that Apocalypse recently joined Quantic IM, or joined Incredible Miracle, to be more discreet, more specific, recently. So he is a recent pickup, and apparently a very solid Terran player at that, which means we are going to have another Terran versus Terran mirror here, which is a little surprising. Usually in team games, and I don't know the reason why. You guys might be like, well, actually, you should know. I actually don't know why. Team games players are usually thrown up as Protoss first. It's usually a Protoss player who scouts out the opponent's team. But I guess in this situation, we're just going to have Terran players being thrown up left and right. So Apocalypse, of course, going to be the red Terran in the 6 o'clock. Thorzane with momentum on his side. He will be the teal Terran at the top left. And we'll see how things go down here. Now, of course, I want to reiterate for you guys, the tournament is $10,000 total. I think it was $6,000 for first, $3,000 for second, $1,000 for third. The $1,000 was already dispensed. I'm not too sure what team got it. I don't recall, because these games are about a couple weeks old, and I already forgot. There's so many games in StarCraft 2. But the two teams right here duking it out will be fighting for $6,000 and $3,000. So yeah, it's a significant chunk of change. Now, you know, some of these teams, I think Quantic IM has a total of 18 or 20 members on their team. I know that IM has a ton of players. So even if they win first place, 6,000 may not be that much. But hey, it's still nice to get that win. It's good for recognition. It's good for team morale and spirit. You know, you don't want to be on a team that never wins. That would suck. You wouldn't want to play for a team like that. Yeah, Quantic IM once again is having momentum on their side. If they win this first set, they will win the entire series because they survived the upper bracket. They were never eliminated once. Mouse Sports, on the other hand, they were eliminated once, so they have to win 2 best-of-9s here, and we'll see if they can do that or not. Thorzane has a couple of Marines inside the main. Getting back to this game, he was able to kill off that SCV. There is a Reaper on the way here for Apocalypse, and it looks like he wants to get in with an early Reaper here, try to do some damage. Although Thorzane should be okay. He's got several numbers of Marines inside the main here. Definitely building more Marines than you would expect. And it's always nice to have those extra Marines, because if this Reaper does decide to come inside, it's probably going to get shut down here. Although the Marines are out of position, so maybe the Reapers will get more kills than I thought that this Reaper was going to get. And it's gotten 1 kill so far. It will get a 2nd kill, and the Marines finally eliminate and exterminate the Reaper threat. Now, given that this is a Terran versus Terran mirror matchup, and they have spawned close by air, you would expect to see Starport play come into effect pretty soon here for both these guys, for obvious reasons. The quick Starport with the close air positions allows you to get that quick Banshee out. You can harass, and you guys have to remember, every time a cloaked Banshee comes out, that's going to force your opponent to invest into a Comsat, which would have otherwise been 270 minerals for a mule. So it's very effective, given the close air, and of course Starport is so important to protect your tanks and give them that extra range as well. So yeah, both players going right away for the double Starport here, or not double Starport, but a Starport apiece. And interestingly, Thorzane opting to go for the quick Raven here, which is a very old school take to Terran versus Terran. That quick Raven, it gives you the ability to detect the cloak Banshee, yes, so you don't have to get the engineering bay down. But at the same time, it also allows you to get auto turrets out and do a little bit of harass if you want to, and it protects your units. But it is kind of risky because it's a Raven, you know, it's not an attacking unit. And we can see Thorzane trying to psych out his opponent once again. Look at that, his tech lab researching, I don't know what upgrade that is. Just a random upgrade out of the air. but it doesn't really matter. Let's see if Apocalypse falls for the bait here. He's sending in this early Viking, and looks like Thorzane just canceled the upgrade there. Didn't want to invest too much in it. Maybe needed the gas back. The Viking comes in, will not see the Fane, I guess you could say. It will see the Raven, and Apocalypse has got to feel pretty good about that. The Cloaked Banshee is obviously shut down by Raven, but if you don't go for Cloak Banshee, then that Raven really, it's nice to have, but it's not as justified. So Apocalypse can take a slight lead in this game. Feel pretty comfortable about that. We can see him also lifting off the barracks here, so it seems like Quantic IM prefers to go for the more older style mass mech play. They really don't rely on much bio at all. And oh no, Thorzane's gonna lose a Viking here, sends a Viking in carelessly, and it will go down. So not good right there for Thorzane. Once again, taking a slight loss in the early game, but you guys know that Thorzane can come back. He is the kind of player that doesn't really care. He can make it come back with his superior macro at any point. So we'll see if Thorzane can do it or not. And of course, he does have the natural down, so he is significantly ahead here. And oh wow, look at this. Apocalypse is building a second starport, guys, and he does have another command center on the way, but it's almost like a semi-quasi all-in at this point. If he wasn't building the command center, I would say for sure he's all-inning his opponent at this point. But there's a command center coming down, so it's almost like if this double starport-ish, and he's researching Cloak as well. If this doesn't work, then I can fall back to my command center. We'll see if this is gonna happen or not. He may end up waiting for Cloak for this attack. There is Cloak researching right now, and let's see if his small band can attack through this front door. I don't think so. I mean, look at his army. It's Hellions, it's Marines, it's a Viking, and a Raven of his own. But against the rock solid, and this is why Thorzane is so rock solid, he goes for the solid tanks. It's very hard to break. So Thorzane goes for the more macro style, very comfortable style, more conservative, but he's so good at it that he can. And unfortunately, this semi-quasi all-in isn't really going to work for Apocalypse at all, unfortunately. So we'll see what he decides to do from this point on. That Barrack's going to have to push away. He doesn't want to die to a Viking, and it looks like Apocalypse's answer to not achieving any damage with his double starport is just going to go for the rocks. And you can't blame him here. This makes a lot of sense, actually. If he can break down these rocks, he can get the gold mining, he can reaccumulate resources and catch up in this game. But the Banshee trying to go around the backside, it is going to cloak, but of course there's a Raven there. So Thorzane can see the cloak Banshee if he needs to, although that Banshee has already delayed the engineering bay and killed off a second SCV. And if he can kill off additional SCVs here, this would be nice. One of those meals actually freshly mining, and if the Banshee can kill off that meal, that would be great, but it looks like Apocalypse is going to go for SCVs rather. He picks off quite a few. Not bad at all. In the total here in this game, already killed off 11 SCVs. No doubt the majority coming from that Banshee. And now that Apocalypse has the gold mining, he's actually right back in this game, I feel like. He's done a great job harassing, and he's secured the gold now. He just needs to be mining out of there. Not too sure why he's distance mining with these SCVs and that meal, which is about to expire. You don't want to distance mine with the meal. They have an expiring lifetime, and I don't even think that meal is going to make it back home before it dies. So, yeah, there it goes. The meal goes down, but at the very least, Apocalypse is mining now out of the gold, so he can definitely get back in this game. Every time a meal returns from a gold, it's 50 minerals. That's a Marine. So nice work from Apocalypse so far to kind of climb back into it and get back in this game. But his army, once again, it's this little small arms fire army. Hellions, some Marines, a Raven, a couple of Vikings. Can it work against the solid tank army of Thorzane? We'll just have to wait and see. Thorzane's already busted down the rocks to the north, so he's looking to grab the third here. And let's see what Thorzane decides to do here. He could definitely start to do that Terran slow push, which is so good, and start to constrict his Terran opponent. But it looks like right now he's actually walking around the side of the map. He's trying to avoid his opponent. This is so smart. He's going for a little stealthy ambush, and I don't think that Apocalypse knows about this. No, unfortunately, the Zelnaga Tower doesn't give coverage to the backside, and the Vikings trailing as air support here for this army, and Thorzane is just going to set up his tanks in between the newly established gold and the main, and now all the SCVs are coming off the mineral lines to fight against this army. They are all going to get obliterated by the tanks here, but if Apocalypse can kill off these tanks, he may have a chance in this game. He's got to kill off every last tank. He will kill off the last tank here. It looks like he's got enough Marines on the ground here to ward off the Vikings as well. So not bad by Apocalypse. That was a great reaction timing from Apocalypse to pull off his SCVs, but has he lost too much? And I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Yeah, I mean, look at that. 18 SCVs, under 50. He just lost, well, he lost 25 workers in that attack, and he was already behind in workers, so that did not bode well for him at all. Although, he is getting a new command center now, so you can try to get back in this game. There's a point defense drone up in the air here to try to provide a little bit of coverage. You can see even auto turrets coming down, and these guys are really handy against the small arms fire army that that Apocalypse is fielding now. Finally starting to get some tanks out. Look at that. He's got some factories on the ground, and he's going to start to mass produce tanks to get back in this game. But wow, he certainly took a can of whoop-ass right there, and took a lot of damage, even though he did hold on, even though he killed off all those tanks, and he pushed Thorazine away. I fear that the second push may be the end for Apocalypse. Thorazine, once again, just too good of a Terran player. The Euro Wonder is at it again, and he's adding on a couple more barracks, a factory as well. You always see him do this, also getting the third at the top left. And let's see if this second wave is going to do in Apocalypse or not. It could be a 2-0 for Mouse Sports here. Hellions coming in. They are Blue Flame upgraded. It looks like Apocalypse has got enough Hellions in the front to absorb the tank fire and push away the army for the second time today. Unbelievable by Apocalypse. I think I guess Thorazine was just too aggressive there, just eyeing the blood, eyeing the juggler there just a little bit too much, and it ended up costing him. So he threw away his army, didn't really kill off that much. And killed off, I don't know, a bunch of Hellions, I guess, but lost a lot of his tanks. I think that Apocalypse can feel pretty good about that, and maybe now he's got a shot to get back into it, but he's got to get the gold fully mining. He's got to get his SCVs over there, but he just doesn't have enough saturation. That is the problem. He's only got 25, and he's on 3 bases, so that's what, not even 10 SCVs per base. This Cloak Banshee is certainly trying to do some work, but the Viking Royal Air Force comes back along with the comsat to dispatch of that, and it only really got 1 kill, and now Thorazine will back up his mineral line with missile turrets too, so that will totally shut down any attempt of harass from Apocalypse. Apocalypse tries to barrel down the middle of the map, but the Zelnaka Tower is already held down by a couple of siege tanks, and Apocalypse won't be able to break that location. The one thing, though, that Apocalypse has got going for him is his army of Hellions with +1 weapons. And, you know, just mass movement Hellions, they're not too bad. But Thorazine's got Vikings, and this is the old style of Terran versus Terran, where mass landed Vikings are incredible against Blue Flame Hellions. These Hellions are not even going to stand a chance, though the tank has just come out, though. The tanks, all the Vikings are like, oh, tank's out, scared, we're scared, run away. So Thorazine pulls back, but the distraction, it seems like that was a distraction at the very least, is going to work here. Thorazine comes over the top right, picks off a couple of SCVs. His Marauders are in a good position to pick off some tanks as well, but too many Hellions here, and it looks like Apocalypse is going to push his army back. Unbelievable by Apocalypse, once again crushing the Terran army. But what is Apocalypse doing? Oh my god, he just walked his tanks forward. He could have actually killed off more units without losing 2 more tanks there. That was a bit of a blunder, I think, by Apocalypse. I'm not sure what he was chasing. And yeah, Thorazine suddenly regains control of the middle of the battlefield with his backup Vikings. And yeah, Thorazine is just using now the neutral Zelnaga Tower as a staging ground to launch attacks into Apocalypse. And Apocalypse can't do anything about it. It's time to run! It's time to run away from that massive Terran army, and now the macro really starting to kick in the high gear for Thorazine, who is just absolutely going to crush this army. No chance at all. And all of the sudden, even though Quantic IM needs to win only 1 best-of-9, it's looking pretty good for Mouse Sports, because Thorazine is up 2-0 in the first best-of-9, and I mean, if he wins this one, it's tied up. I mean, if he wins the this first best-of-9, yeah, it's tied up. So here comes the orbital command lifting off. Apocalypse really just in a terribly desperate situation now, when SCVs are trying to repair an orbital command that will inevitably die, and the 3 Marines going to work here. I think this is going to be all she wrote. I'm not too sure what Apocalypse is going to be able to do. He lifts off the second orbital command, and now it's just an SCV death fest. There's nothing these guys can do. And the Blue Flintonians coming out, but yeah, they're going to get cleaned up by the Marauders as well. And there's a GG from Apocalypse. So Thorzane takes 2-0 in the first best of 9. Not bad at all. He's really building up some momentum here for Mouse Sports, and we'll see if he can continue that into the third game. I hope you guys enjoyed so far, and Game 3 of the Team Arena Challenge Grand Finals will be coming up next. Stay tuned.